Hello, everyone, and welcome to our town hall run by students for students. My name is Olivia Field, and I am a senior here at Wake, and I'm the editor-in-chief of the Old Gold and Black, the university's student newspaper. I will be the moderator of this event, which will focus on 4 different topics related to the student experience. Before we go ahead and get started, I am going to introduce each of our speakers tonight. First, to talk a little bit about our community, we have Senior Miles Middleton. He is the student body president and an Army ROTC cadet. To talk a bit about the residential experience, we have Senior Rue Cooper. She is the co-chair of the Student Compact Initiative, an RA, and a president's aide, as well as sophomore Pilar Agudelo. She is an RA and co-chair of the Student Government Diversity and Inclusion Committee. After that, you'll hear a little bit about campus belonging and guidelines. You'll hear from Junior Rory Britt. He is the co-chair of the Student Organizations Council, vice president of programming for the Interfraternity Council, as well as Junior Ali Schwartzberg. She is the Speaker of the House for Student Government, on the Pan-Hellenic Task Force for Diversity and Inclusion, as well as part of the President's Commission on Race, Equity, and Community. Lastly, you'll hear from 2 representatives from the Building Community Task Force that prepared for this semester. So that'll be Senior Victoria Parker. She is the Pan-Hellenic Council President, as well as Student Government Treasurer, and Junior Jacob Thomas, the President of the Black Student Alliance. Each of these topics will be covered for about 5 minutes, and then we will move on to a Q&A portion using questions that we pre-submitted were pre-submitted by you. We got some really great questions from all of you, but in the interest of time, I took the liberty of merging a few of them together that were about a similar topic. So if the exact question that you asked isn't read, please know that I tried my best to incorporate it together with some other questions. But if there is a question that you feel like we don't answer, or if you have any comments based on what we shared tonight, please go check out the link in the description of this video to submit your feedback. Without further ado, we will go ahead and get started with a few words on community from Miles Middleton.
Thank you, Olivia, and good evening, everyone. I first want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you to the panelists, and of course, the Office of University Advancement for putting this on for us. I hope everyone's first few days on campus and in classes have gone well. Many of you have seen me and members of my team and other student leaders walk around campus at night, talking to students, handing out ice cream even, and I have to say the students on campus have been awesome, following the guidelines. And to the freshmen, it has been amazing to meet most of you, and hopefully the entire class by the end of this semester. I appreciate all those who have followed the guidelines on campus while providing us valuable feedback as we continue to move forward in the semester of uncertainty. And that is mainly why we are here tonight, to gain feedback, be transparent, and open every line of communication for our community. First, I just wanted to acknowledge that many of you are anxious and worried about the future this semester. For our class of 2024, I can't say I know what it feels like to lose a graduation and a prom. I know we cannot replace those memories that have been taken from you, those memories that were meant to always have a special place in your heart. But now that you are a part of our community, we want you to know that there will be plenty of chances to make more memories, meet new friends, and see a new beginning. We welcome you with open arms into our Wake Forest family. We are here for you, we are fighting for you, and most importantly, we care for you. That is why it is imperative that we follow all guidelines. Additionally, we need to prevent the rise of super spreaders, which could be dorm parties or large gatherings. Please make sure you are doing your part here at Wake Forest University by protecting one another if we want to be on campus till November. We have student leaders and campus offices working around the clock to plan events and other gatherings safely so that you can meet new friends and enjoy your time here. To my upperclassmen, you already know what it feels like to have to move out and leave this special place we call home. As we have said from various campus communication networks, we all must work together to stay on campus. We are calling on you to hold not just yourself, but others accountable. You are the example and standard for this community. From reminding friends about wearing a mask and staying 6 feet apart to avoid large gatherings, you have a part to play in this as well. I do ask the upperclassmen to do me one big favor. Show humanitate and help make the new Deeks, class of 2024, comfortable on campus. Introduce yourself. Have a conversation with them. Do your best to be a mentor to our freshmen to help move this campus forward together. Furthermore, for those who have voiced their concerns over, on, and off campus events, we ask that you please report such events through the COVID compliance form or contact university police. I, along with other student leaders, have advocated and will continue to advocate for increased accountability to those found to violate policies on and off campus, as this is the only way we can stay on this campus together. To ensure that the freshmen are able to gain new memories in this new home and upperclassmen, especially our sophomores who lost the half of their semester, we have to be able to think and do things differently than in years past. Stick to the small gatherings. Do not bunch up. Be the best you. Hang out on the quad. I see people hanging out on the quad with their towels. Do that. Look, we can do this, everyone. Let us instill a sense of pride. We can beat UNC in all of this. I mean, they didn't even get past week 1. They already went down the rabbit hole. We already have gotten past week 1. Keep the cases low. Keep us in the yellow. I ask you all to stay and be encouraged, to not only keep our campus open, but to keep your friends safe, our Deacon Dining members safe, our faculty and staff safe, but most importantly, yourselves. And now I will kick it back to Olivia. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Miles, for those words of encouragement. I will now pass it over to Pilar Agudelo and Rue Cooper to speak a little bit about residence life.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pilar, and I'm an RA in Kitchen. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about my role as both an RA, but also as your fellow student. Being an RA is really a balance between being a leader, someone who upholds university values and guidelines, being a support person, and a friend. This is my first year as an RA, and my attraction to the job was the relationships I could build with other students and help to create a stronger sense of belonging on campus. Personally, I like to lean towards the friend and support person, but this semester has become increasingly challenging. Being an RA has meant documenting multiple students who are not abiding by the COVID-19 guidelines, and that can be very distracting and time-consuming. This means I don't get the time to really get to know my residents and those in my community. It is stress-inducing and puts myself and others at risk. I'm not only an RA though, and I think a lot of the times there's a separation made that shouldn't exist. I'm also a student, and as a student, I want to stay on campus. I attend classes with you, I'm part of different organizations like you, I want to stay with my friends, continue to enjoy the environment on campus, and take classes here like many of you. The actions of students who do not follow the guidelines jeopardize the possibility of us staying on campus. I think it's important to note that I'm not placing blame. I empathize with people across the board. The frustrations of students who have committed to following all guidelines and rules, and with students who do not follow these guidelines. It is hard at times. We are excited to be back on campus or excited about our first year in college. I can understand that coming back and having to change your habits and routines in a new Wake Forest campus life is challenging. I understand that for freshmen, you lost a lot of your senior year experiences and you don't want to miss out anymore. I do understand, but we have to weigh our options, and even more than that, take the time to really understand the impacts of our actions. Our semester can last longer than a week or a month. For that to be possible, it is important that we wear masks, keep 6 feet distance, and maintain good hygiene. Help your RAs out. It is easier for us to be your friends if you aren't breaking the rules, and it's easier for us to be a support system when our time isn't taken up by documenting people who aren't abiding by the simple guidelines put in place to protect all of us on campus. I'd like to now hand it off to Rue to talk a little more about this.
Thanks, Pilar. Hi, everyone. My name is Rue Cooper, and I'm a senior this year, RA in Magnolia. And this is my 3rd year as an RA. And I want to offer some perspective to what it's like being a returner to the RA role this year. In my opinion, one of the most important goals of being an RA is to build community amongst the residents and the living community at large. And being a returner makes you very knowledgeable on the programming that works and the best ways to connect with your residents. As returners to the role, the experience we've gained during our time as RAs makes us a great resource for new RAs, as we're expected to set an example for the new members on our teams. However, being in the middle of the pandemic has resulted in a lot of changes to the expectations of residential life, And because returner RAs are expected to lead their team until everyone feels fully comfortable in their role, returners have really taken the helm in making sure that residents are following the COVID community guidelines. While this constant reinforcement of policy is necessary, it has been a source of a lot of pressure. As a returner, your new staff members look to you to enforce the COVID policies to the residents of the building so they can learn from you. But at the same time, being the constant responder starts to cause some distance between an RA and a resident. Although our goal is to always build community, our number one priority right now is keeping everyone safe. And if someone is doing something that threatens the safety of our community, that leads to documentation. And documentation can lead to a resident feeling as if they cannot trust their RA. And that's the opposite of what we want during this delicate year.
Thank you, Rue and Pilar. Now I'd like to introduce Rory Britt and Ali Schwartzberg, who will speak a bit to campus belonging and the current guidelines on campus.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rory Britt, and I'm a junior here at Wake. By now, you've probably heard the words pro humanitate or for humanity a dozen or 1,000 times. You've also probably heard the phrase show humanitate, which is a play on our motto, which aims to remind us that in these crazy times, we must show our care for our fellow Deeks and the Winston-Salem community as a whole. We know these changes are strange. A year ago, none of us would have expected that the socially polite thing to do with people on the quad was getting as far away from them as possible, or purposefully not going to hang out with your friends. Despite these changes, however, we can still all come together and find belonging on campus. It's a play on words, but work forest has a tendency to become all too real most semesters. But now is the perfect time to slow down and experience what's around us. There will be changes. Public health, gathering limits, new registration processes, and more are quickly becoming the norms in deciding how our students and their organizations will interact. With that, I highly recommend that you all spend some time on the Our Way Forward webpage, which explains many of these changes in depth. However, despite these new norms, the well-being, counseling, women's, LGBTQ+, intercultural, and many more university centers are here with resources to help us all take care of ourselves this semester. Intramural sports, group fitness classes, virtual auditions for music groups, and pop-up events of all kinds can also be found on the Cork app. It is spelled C-O-R-Q, Cork. You can find it on the App Store or Google Play. I highly recommend you download it. One such event being put forward is by our Intercultural Center and the Office of Wellbeing, and that is Provide and Thrive, a conversation about our new organizational guidelines between the leaders of several major affinity groups, the Student Compact Committee, and members of the administration, happening on September 11th. You can find more information about that on the school's Instagram, and I highly suggest you all check it out. This semester, we must recognize the nature of the times in which we live, not just in their negative light, but also in the opportunities that they will provide us. This is a time for both our new and returning students to break traditional social molds, to get creative with how we make friends or get involved, and to especially find purpose in over 200 student-led organizations that we have here at Wake. It will require perseverance, but I know we can do it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ali Schwartzberg. I'm also a junior. And like many other student leaders, I have spent the summer planning and unplanning and then replanning how we might be able to bring some normalcy into this fall. To the returning students craving for the activities you know so well, we hear you. Wake has been your home, and if we all work together, we can help make that true for our new Steeks. To the class of 2024, now I'm talking to you, and I will be for a little bit right now. I know finding your place on campus has become more difficult, but I want to encourage you to seek out clubs and activities that sound interesting to you, even if it means stepping out of your comfort zone. Some of the best things I do now are things that scare me back when I was a freshman. If you Google Wake the Forest, like Wake the Forest, you will find information on engagement consultants that can help you find clubs, and you will also find a link to Flipgrid videos for student organizations. This is your virtual involvement fair. If you see a club that looks interesting, or if you know a club you want to join already, you can go onto the link, it's wfu.campuslabs.com, and your login information is already preloaded there, so you just have to click one button. There you'll be able to search through the campus organizations, you'll be able to contact members and learn more, and you can request to join the organizations. Through joining clubs, you'll be able to attend virtual events or meetings and meet new friends who share your interests, some of whom could become like a second family for you. And shameless plug, if you're a first year student and want to meet upperclassmen, First Year in Focus, which is hosted by the Office of Student Engagement, the Office of Civic and Community Engagement, and Student Government, is an awesome opportunity to build a personal relationship with an upperclassman, even during this time of COVID. If you're looking to make your mark on Wake's campus, consider joining Charge Emerging Leaders through student engagement. Or if you want to learn more about yourself and others in our community, the Intercultural Center is offering workshops in building community, cross-cultural engagement, and a variety of other topics in their Cultivating Me, We, Us, and Student Workshop series. These are just a few options, but if none of them sound right for you, there are over 200 organizations ready to welcome you. When I look back over my years at Wake, many of my closest friends are those I made in student organizations I joined freshman and sophomore year. And while the memories from my last 2 years may look a little bit different than the ones I make this year, I have no doubt that with my Wake family at my side, the memories we make now will be ones I look back on for years to come. Heck, having the opportunity to meet so many of you while handing out ice cream from a golf cart last weekend is pretty high up there in my favorite memories from Wake so far. We know this is a weird semester, but Wake is a really special place, and we hope you're starting to feel the sense of belonging that makes Wake a home.
On that important note, I am excited to pass over the conversation to Victoria Parker and Jacob Thomas to speak about their time on the Building Community Task Force this summer.
Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Parker and I'm a current senior at Wake Forest. In June 2020, as our faculty and staff began preparing for fall 2020, President Hatch called together several task forces to handle and tackle what the fall semester would look like on campus. One of these task forces was the Building Community Task Force, which Jacob and I both served on. The goal of the Building Community Task Force was to, quote, create a lively out-of-class environment. The out-of-class environment is one of the things that makes Wake Forest so special and stand out from other schools. We knew it was important to brainstorm and think strategically about how this environment could continue despite some of the setbacks and regulations from COVID-19. The task force was made up of faculty, staff, and organizational leaders from across all schools and areas of campus. Our goal seemed simple, but was also very complex. How do we reimagine social life on campus, especially around community-centered events and traditions that we all love and cherish during the fall semester? How do we reinvigorate social life on campus while also being creative and following all regulations? This group met 8 times throughout the summer to tackle these questions. I'll pass it off to Jacob to explain more of what the task force focused on.
Hello, my name is Jacob Thomas, and I'm a junior. During my 3 years at Wake Forest so far, I have become drawn to the unique sense of community on campus. Although campus culture looks different in light of COVID-19, racial considerations, and the impending election season, the Building Community Task Force began working diligently over the summer to reimagine how students at Wake can safely engage with one another outside of the classroom. By analyzing the social fabric of Wake Forest, we drew 5 main themes to adapt and improve the extracurricular experience for students this semester. First, we have restructured the physical campus to promote a more creative use of space. In practice, this largely means taking advantage of our outdoor spaces with reservable tents and hosting outdoor workout classes. Additionally, new dining options have sprouted around campus to ensure compliance with county mandates resulting from COVID-19. With the redefinition of space, we are now encouraging student organizations to host multi-site events at different tents on campus simultaneously, or events that have staggered attendance at one site. And of course, mixing these options in with virtual events. Secondly, we plan to coordinate theme nights to promote campus cohesion and social vibrancy. This will likely take the form of uniting different student organizations to host events around certain identities, interests, and opportunities. For example, there may be a day where organizations are encouraged to program around social justice or community service. In our third main theme, we began re-envisioning what our traditions will look like, ranging from game days to Project Pumpkin. Shortly, we will have more information about how these and other events, such as Hit the Bricks and the lighting of the quad, will look. In the meantime, we have also been reviewing how we can move the events that are usually past Thanksgiving up in the calendar. Fourth, our community places value on the arts and creative growth academically as well as through student organizations. This commitment to the arts is interwoven with the new usage of space on campus and has demonstrated more opportunities to engage with the arts outdoors. Our final theme centered the way we can intentionally further Pro Humanitate to demonstrate a commitment and responsibility to the larger community. Tying into the other themes we've outlined, we recognize purpose is at the forefront of every event and opportunity this semester. The social vibrancy of campus will certainly look different, but we are actively working to create and maintain the elements of Wake Forest that make Wake Forest special.
So what's next for the Building Community Task Force? We're starting our meetings up again next week since everyone is now moved in on campus and getting into the swing of the semester. We want to plan events and initiatives that are going to resonate with students. There are student leaders on this committee, but we want to know what other students want to see and what will keep people engaged. Are there ideas for events or initiatives that you or your friends have? Please share them at the link in the description of this video. Although this may not be the fall we had in mind, this is an opportunity for us to rethink how we do things. There are good ideas that will come out of this situation that will last far into the future. We are committed to making the changes needed to keep the same social spirit and community that Wake Forest has always had. Thank you so much, and remember to submit any ideas you have at the link in the description of this video.
Thanks, Victoria and Jacob. So that wraps up the first part of the town hall tonight, and now I'm going to shift into asking some of the questions that y'all submitted to us earlier this week. Like I said, this is definitely not a comprehensive overview of every single Wake Forest policy, but we are hoping to shed some light on concerns that we all have as students. If you feel like your questions haven't been answered, please feel free to drop it in the link in the description. So I'm going to start off with some couple of questions about community, and I'm going to direct them to Miles. So the first question is, I am a freshman and this doesn't feel like the Wake Forest that I heard about when I applied. Miles, what do you have to say to them?
No, absolutely. This is definitely not the Wake Forest that I remember from my freshman year, at least from the outside perspective. And I definitely hear what the freshmen are saying, and that's why one thing that I know is consistent about Wake Forest University is the people that are on this campus. When I called up some of my friends and student government members to see if we can go out there, meet some people, make sure they're comfortable, make sure that they feel like this is a community, that they can gain friends here, immediately they said yes. And we were out there handing out ice cream, as I stated. We were out there just throughout the week, just meeting people, making sure people are following the guidelines. And we'll continue to do that. But I think also on top of that, we also have to be transparent with you all about how we can get more events out there, how we can put more events on for freshmen, especially on the quad, especially to keep you all safe and to make sure you all have that community aspect and that being. But I will say that's why, again, this town hall is very important, so everyone can give us feedback on what we need to be focusing on, what we should prioritize for the future, and how we should be doing that. And because we work so much, this group here with administrators, I'm pretty sure we can get a good leg up on what the concerns are and how we should focus on them.
Great, thanks for that. I'm going to direct a couple more questions to you. So many of us are wondering what North Carolina's Phase 2.5 means for Wake. I know today the university sent out a message, but do you think you could speak a little bit more to what that means for campus?
Absolutely. So as many of you saw in your Corona Chronicles today and an email by CER today, we're going to keep our gathering sizes to 10 people indoors and 25 people outdoors on and off campus. I know this is a new look, especially for the state of North Carolina, but for our campus, we just want to make sure that we are moving in a successful manner through this transition. We definitely don't want to rush this. We definitely want to maintain our ability to stay on campus in November. So it'd be really important for us to still adhere to what the university puts out, 10 people indoors, 25 people outdoors, on and off campus, just so we can make sure that everyone's staying safe. The university will consult with public health officials and consider results from the first weeks of our random testing program that should be coming out shortly before potentially increasing our gathering limit to the next state levels. We will also start seeing a gradual opening of the Wellbeing Center next week.
Great, thanks so much for that. And I'm going to throw one more question at you because I feel like this is something that we all as students are struggling with. And it reads, this new blended learning experience is taking a while to get used to, and I'm struggling to find my footing academically. Any thoughts on how I can get some help?
Yeah, so over the summer when we were doing kind of similar things, talking directly to freshmen, when we were talking about how you can still engage with your professors, your classmates, I always encourage just reaching out to them over a chat function, whether that be individually, making sure that you're reaching out to them, because maybe everyone's going through the same problems, everyone's going through the same things, and I've done that so far, checking in with people. But most importantly, just make sure you can have study groups. That's a good way to have that. Good way to find new friends on campus, especially to the upperclassmen. I'm pretty sure they'll be open to anybody having a study group, because I think we all miss those opportunities of going to the library and being packed in there till like 1 or 2 a.m. As Wake Forest students do. But other than that, I understand the frustration. And I think you should also check out the different resources on campus just to make sure that you're following and get a head start in your academic process, and reach out to your professor, go to office hours. That's always an advantage going forward.
Sweet, that is some good advice. And my last question for you is shifting gears a bit. Why isn't Wake Forest testing everyone weekly or biweekly like other universities? And why aren't we using wastewater testing techniques like some other schools in the country are doing as well?
Absolutely. So Wake Forest chose to use random testing to keep track of the spread of COVID-19 in our community. University officials talk with public health experts to make that decision. If you saw on the Instagram, actually, there is I think Dr. Chris Ohl is on there. A leading infectious disease doctor and professor at Wake Forest University School of Medicine on our Way Forward website, actually, too. He was just talking about what this random testing will look like, how we're operating, and how that will look for the future. So depending on how the semester continues, I think those are other options are probably available for consideration if needed. But for right now, we're going to stick with that.
Great. Thanks so much, Miles. And now I'm going to shift gears and ask Victoria a question. So the question submitted reads that I'm having trouble finding things to do on campus. Any ideas?
Yeah, so like Rory said earlier, a great place to go is the Cork app, which is CORQ. If you download it, it shows all sorts of activities happening on campus every day of the week, all hours. And you can also visit the Wake the Forest page on the university website, which is a fall initiative. There are events and activities listed there as well. Other things you can do is just grab a group of friends and go walk around Ranolda Village and the trails at Ranola and Grayland. I know that that's something that my friends and I have been taking a lot of advantage of because it's socially distanced outside and it's still like an active thing to do.
Sweet. I love taking a good walk in Ranolda Village. Victoria, I'm going to stay on you for a second. We know that the Building Community Task Force is working on activities, but what can a student do if they have an idea for an event?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I said earlier, we'd love to hear all your ideas. There are a few student representatives on the task force, but we want to hear what everyone has to say. So please feel free to submit some of the ideas in the comment in the link below this video, or you can email the student engagement email address.
Great, thanks. Jacob, I'm gonna throw a question to you now. It reads, it is hard to make friends and have fun on campus right now. Is it always going to be this way?
We understand that it has been super hard, especially for first year students. I think we have a great community here, and I know student organizations are currently trying really hard to make sure there are plenty of creative opportunities to meet people and have fun. It is certainly hard given the circumstances, but with intentionality and engagement, you meet more people over time and you start to feel a little bit more comfortable on campus. I urge you to go to events virtually and in person that interest you so you are able to make connections. Also, please feel empowered to reach out to people in student orgs as well as other outlets provided in this town hall if there are events you would like to see. I also know the longer we are here and the better we do, the more the university guidelines will be open to modification. Right now, our color flag is yellow. We want to stay in yellow and we want to stay on campus. Hopefully by the end of the semester, we'll reach green and can do even more.
Yes, definitely fingers crossed for that one. All right, Allie, I've got a question for you. We know that the pandemic has forced us to remain apart and isolate ourselves from one another. That's probably the hardest part of this whole experience. How can we help each other stave off loneliness in these trying times?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to fall into this in like two parts. One, for the upperclassmen, definitely reach out to your friends, even if it's not your best friend. Check in on them. It's really important that we're there for each other and we really support our fellow geeks and find our family, because we are really a family here. And so check on your friends, do the things that my fellow panelists were talking about, go on walks, talk to your club members, even if you're not meeting. And then for the freshmen, like Jacob said, I know it's a little bit harder to meet people right now than it's been in years past, but I want to remind you all that you are not the only one having a hard time right now. It is hard to be a first year student. It's hard to adjust to campus in a normal semester. So it's hard right now, but every other freshman that you run into and every other student that you run into is feeling the same way. So if you met someone in your class in a breakout room, or you ran into them in Benson and you think they seem cool, like check in on them, ask if they want to grab lunch or coffee, and you guys will be able to form little friendships that could become your best friends forever. And then don't forget to stay in contact with your family and your friends from home. It's always good to call your mom. It can never hurt to call your mom. And your RAs like Pilar and Rue are there also as a support. So you really can't walk 3 feet on campus without finding someone willing to help you if you're looking.
That is great advice, Allie. The next question I'm going to direct at Rory. Is the university going to implement a curfew on campus?
Thanks, Olivia. So university leaders are continuously reviewing the situation both on and off campus. Several measures, including curfews, are under review as the administration weighs both the pros and the cons of each and assesses their effectiveness. So curfews are not in effect in our current yellow operating status. We are mellow yellow. But that could change, however, if we do move into an orange operating status.
Thanks so much for that clarification. My next question I'm going to direct at Pilar. It's about why aren't the residence hall lounges open?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I know I really enjoyed lounges and studying them in the past, but the environmental health and safety team and the medical team worked to identify places where it would be difficult to control occupancy and or provide appropriate cleaning and disinfection. And those locations have been closed. This is not meant to be a punitive measure, but one to protect student safety and help mitigate risk of COVID-19 spread. Our goal remains to have an on-campus semester that lasts until Thanksgiving. And unfortunately, what that means is that some previously used spaces cannot be used right now.
All right, and the next question I'm going to direct to Rue. This is about personal travel. Can students go home for the weekend or travel to a family wedding out of state, let's say?
Thanks, Olivia. Right now, we're trying to discourage travel as much as possible. Obviously, people have their own autonomy, but we want to do everything that we can to reduce the risk of COVID being contracted off campus and then coming back on campus. So we're really discouraging off-campus travel right now, like non-essential travel. If it's a case of something that's really important to someone, like a family wedding or, God forbid, a funeral, please just follow the CDC guidelines to ensure that you're minimizing the risk of exposure. That means washing your hands, wearing your mask, doing everything, social distancing at all times if you go off campus, because we don't want to make people feel even more alienated from home at this time. But we also do need to ensure that protocol is being followed even when you're not on campus.
That is great advice. And the last question that I have for y'all, I'm also going to direct to you, Rue. Why do students have to quarantine if their friend had COVID-19, but they don't actually have it anymore?
Yeah, that one is a bit tricky because obviously student health is doing their best to ensure that everyone is safe. But that's not really a Wake Forest rule, but it's mandated by the CDC and public health officials. So that's not something that we have a lot of wiggle room around with. And right now, the issue is with the quality of testing and also the timing of testing. What we're seeing in other schools is that the testing wasn't as efficient, or maybe they waited too long to test people. Just generally speaking, no one in mind. Yeah, we just want to make sure that in quarantining, that's the best way to ensure that you're not going to give something to someone else. And right now, we know it's proven that if you take the 14 days to quarantine, if you've been in contact with someone. Best case scenario is even if you don't have COVID, you're ensuring that you're not going to pass it on to someone else. So we're just trying to play it safe.
Thanks so much, Rue. All right, guys, well, that wraps up our event for tonight. Thank you to all our participants this evening. Thanks to you all for watching and for your dedication to making this semester happen. I can say personally how much it means to me, how much it means to all of us, and I'm really excited to be back here. Remember to fill out the link in the description if you have any questions or feedback, and if your friends couldn't make it, you can let them know that y'all will receive an email in the coming days with the link to this video. Thanks again, and have a wonderful night.